Hey, I'm Warren Sprouse. It's Sunday night, August 27th, 2017, and we're here together on the Bible Forum. You ought to join us live sometime. What's going on in Israel today? Well, you could write a book, and you could write that book every week. This past week, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu met with the Russia's President Putin to discuss how Iran's accelerated presence in Syria threatens the Jewish state in the Middle East. They were in the Russian city of Sochi. Netanyahu was joined by Yossi Cohen, director of the Mossad, the intelligence agents, and by Meir Ben Shabbat, the recently appointed leader of Israel's National Security Council. They were sitting down to talk serious stuff. And Netanyahu told the Russian president that with joint efforts, we are defeating the Islamic State. But the bad thing is that where the defeated Islamic State group vanishes, Iran is stepping in. Iran is ancient Persia. Netanyahu also noted that the Islamic Republic is, as he put it, well on its way to controlling not only Syria, but other countries in the Middle East, including Iraq and Yemen and Lebanon. He went on to say, when strong enough, the mullahs inevitably will turn their aggressive ideological attentions on an increasingly Muslim Russia. Little gentle warning. They're not going to leave you alone either. There was no public response from Mr. Putin. All this comes, apparently, after a high-level Israeli security delegation met in Washington, D.C. with senior U.S. defense officials. Israel wants the U.S. to include a clause in its statement to Russia regarding a peace deal to end Syria's civil war, demanding the full withdrawal of Iranian forces from Syria as part of that deal. Israel feels that their options are quickly diminishing. They see a quickening of this Iranian land bridge stretching from Iran to Lebanon, and the installations that the Iranians are building along the way. Now, the Bible links Russia with Turkey and Egypt against Israel in the final war, the war that ends with Jesus' return. A war that brings the West to Israel's aid and sees a tremendous devastation of the economy, a devastation of peace, and the devastation of millions of lives. We call it the Great Tribulation. And it's the culmination of that almost 7-year period. Now, on that subject, the chief of staff of the Iranian military, a fellow by the name of Mohammad Bagheri, made what's being called a, quote, unprecedented, end of quote, visit to Turkey this week, just this past week. He met with Turkey's military chief of staff. And as such, he marks the first such visit of a high Iranian military officer since the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. A Turkish pro-government newspaper called it a milestone, noting that such a meeting between the two would never have been possible if the countries weren't making alliances with one another regarding Syria and Iraq. Now, regardless of what other issues they have in common, it's being reported that their main concern is the Kurds. You know about the Kurds? Many of these are Christians. And nobody, either one of these groups, want to see a Kurdish state in the region. If you think on your map of the Middle East, think of Iran all the way over here on the right. To its left immediately is Iraq. And to Iraq's left is Turkey. But somewhere up north, between Iraq and Turkey, up in the north, is this area that the Kurds occupy. Now, Kurdistan is standing right there between Iraq and Turkey. Turkey has built what they call a security wall between their country and the Kurds. Turkey also has used her alliance with us as an excuse to bomb the Kurds. Ostensibly, they're fighting ISIS, but they're bombing the Kurds. We hear about it every once in a while. But now, apparently, America is arming the Kurds. This is causing all kinds of chaos. It's pushing Turkey into the arms of Russia and Iran. And there are missile systems to be had from Russia. Russia just signed an agreement with Turkey to sell 17 billion with a B worth of oil. ISIS supplies oil on the black market, but Turkey is apparently no longer able to pay their prices. And Turkey is also buying natural gas from Iran. I mean, this is three-card Monte. This is a game that should get interesting. And in all of this, as it's all unfolding, Turkey is moving steadily away from the West, away from the United States, away from the EU, Europe. And with all of that, she's significantly exercising less constraint regarding the extremist Islamic agenda in her country. And as if to punctuate events occurring in the region, Iranian General, can't pronounce his first name, Mousavi, speaking at a cultural event in the city of Qom, said, quote, acts of devotion from Iranians would thwart Israel, end of quote. Acts of devotion? We're seeing in our country acts of devotion with guys running around with 4-foot-long swords in Great Britain and in this country, trying to kill people. They're doing it with cars and trucks. They're doing it with bombs. They're doing it every way they can. These are called acts of devotion. He's commenting on a statement from Israel that Israel had no concerns about Iran for the next 25 years. The general said he didn't expect Israel to be around 25 years from now. Not everything that we read or see in the news is the truth. These people are busy, and they all hate Israel. But then that's the way God said it was going to end, didn't it? Pay attention.